Hello and welcome to the G3 Pulse podcast. My guest today is Light Wonder's Mark Purdy. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lewis. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me.
No, you're very welcome. It's your first time with us, Mark. So I was wondering, could you just tell me what it is you do at Light Wonder?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the product director for slots across the EMEA region, Europe and South Africa. So looking after the content commissioning and road mapping for the region, liaising with all the studios around the globe and looking after the hardware as well. And of course, pricing, sales enablement and and liaising with our teams around the globe. So exciting, big role, and been doing it for just under 2 years now.
Okay, which kind of means that you're the perfect person to be talking to, because we're about to discuss the new Light Wonder cabinet, the Kascada or Kascada Slant, depending, I guess, which part of the country you're from. Now, we've already seen the upright, and that's been really successful and done incredibly well. So what I wanted to ask you is, what elements have been brought forward from the upright into the slant, and what's completely new?
Yeah, I mean, there's some essential elements of like you say Kascada, I say Kascada, tomato. I'll work with Kascada today, but okay. There's some essential elements of the cabinet that we incorporate across all the different form factors available to our customers now. So one of the most essential ones there is the floating eye deck. It's ergonomically positioned. It's got a really tough top glass and underneath the interactive HD display, and then we've got the dual bash buttons on there as well. So just making it easy for both left and right-handed players. So that's essential across the range. On slant, we incorporate the same as the upright sibling. We incorporate the 3 full high definition 27-inch screens, and we also have our we have an edge lit lighting package, but it's really enhanced with our side firing LEDs that they're fairly unique. They fire out the side, they bounce off a proprietary design. We've got a reflector that's on the side of the cabinet, and it's made from sort of like a molded 3D surface. You've got to see it to experience it, but it really cleverly reflects the different colors and coordinates with the gameplay animations and the tracks and the celebrations as well. And it just makes the cabinet, Lewis, feel a lot bigger than it really is. It has more presence because of these lights firing out the side. So it keeps the cabinet true to its compact slant design, but really enhances it and draws the eye, both when you're sat at the cabinet and when you're away from it too.
Okay, and yeah, I was going to think, if the kind of form factor is very similar from the upright to the slant, is that, is a very kind of practical question, but does that mean that sharing components and maintenance and servicing, does that make things much easier?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to finish off on the last question as well, it's all linked. The sound as well is delivered from like a multi-channel sound bar as well, and again that's shared across. So pertinent to your question, there are core components that we use across all of the cabinets that again make it easier for sales support, sales service, and of course again what's really important is there's a familiarity inside the cabinets for the technicians and our colleagues and partners around the world. They're familiar with the inside of the cabinet too. The CPUs in the same position, the sound bars in the same position. It's all about minimizing downtime, really getting those machines fixed, back up and running again, getting the players back on them as quick as possible.
Okay. Now everyone focuses with new cabinets on the quality of the screens and ergonomics, and we will get to those, I promise. But I just wanted to kind of look at the hardware a second and ask, that's the thing that's driving the game. That's, the lighting effects and sound that you mentioned is so integral to that entertainment package. What can you tell us about the horsepower that's actually under the hood driving the Kascada Slant, and what sets this cabinet apart?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The screen and the ergonomics are essential, but they're nothing without that engine underneath to sort of deliver the gaming experience. So our Salem CPU delivers that horsepower. That is the engine. So its primary message or its primary goal was basically to elevate the gaming experience. Now, I'm not a PC nerd. I'm not massively up on all the different specs and what's new at the moment, but I do know that the CPU, everything about it was designed to provide an advantage over other hardware. And all the extra cores and thread in the CPU, the video cards that are supported, whether it be standard or premium, there's a 4K resolution output there. There's more USB core USB ports. Sorry, there's faster memory. It's huge. It's rapid, and we've amalgamated boards as well to make the actual hardware smaller and able to be placed easier within the terminal as well. So it's hardware is better, bolder, faster. It's not necessarily bigger because we're looking at that clever design there as well. But it's all about generating faster load speeds, greater audio immersion, graphics at the next level as well, and a crystal clear and crisp, and no jud and no hesitation. So leading edge tech inside all of the Kascada cabinets, and especially Kascada Slant.
Okay, and when you create the cabinet, how long do you normally take to actually how long does Light Wonder actually take to create a cabinet? Is it a fast process? Is it a years? Are we talking in terms of that development time? And I just wonder what's involved in it. Where do you look for inspiration? We just saw the Apple launch its new headset yesterday. We looked at all of the kind of the tech that's out there. I mean, where do you draw that to actually start to from the blueprint side of it to begin to build this cabinet?
Yeah, absolutely. And Apple's a great example. You look at, there was boxy, clunky laptops however many years ago, and they've finessed everything, brought everything a lot more slim and slick. And influences around the tech world absolutely affect cabinets as well. We've got same as any company, we've got timelines and targets to hit based around the life cycle of the current hardware and replacement requirements. But our strategic periods, that conception, that planning period, they're not compromised to hit the deadlines. Okay. So we're lucky enough to have a superbly experienced engineering team. They can, you give them a few pointers, they'll put together concepts and renders within days, weeks, if not days. Basically, they're fantastic. And then you have the focus groups and the prototypes, and all the execution has to be planned as well. So typically around a year, maybe a little bit less. Kascada is an example of a family, almost a brand that's evolved. So where actually, great anecdote, Kascada, the portrait cabinet, was partially developed within lockdown. So it was a whole new challenge for the teams. They were on video screens. It was hard to really get your hands on the actual product as well. But that was 2-3 years ago now, and we're still developing the Kascada family with that familiarity as well. So a Slant has been an outcome, an evolution of that as well.
Okay, and so we get back to screens. We've seen them dramatically increase in size and also complexity in terms of the way that the shapes of the screens at the same time. You obviously offer a range of them on the upright already, and I just wonder what's the sweet spot, and how does the Kascada Slant strike that balance? I guess between the cost, the bang for the buck, and the practicality of putting that into a cabinet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the screen's essential. That's one of the main forms of interacting with the cabinet, whether it be subliminally as you're watching, and you've got the buttons and the inputs as well. But we believe that the 27-inch screen, we looked at other sizes, we looked at other options there as well. But those 27-inch screens deliver that perfect balance of player comfort. And that's what this is about. This is about dwell time. It's about people sitting down, enjoying the experience, and actually really being immersed in that gaming offer as well. So with the 27-inch, the human eye can take in all the activity and the action on the screens around them, really digest the nuances of the graphics and the animations. But it also helps us from a hardware perspective as well. Anything bigger or wider, and you start getting challenges on the footprint. So where the 27-inch screens are used, we have greater banking opportunities as well. You can deliver that by leveraging more machines in a smaller area too, which is obviously essential for a lot of casinos across Europe. Okay,
and just quickly, almost back to the beginning, I guess, of the process. But were you always going to create a slant? I mean, the upright came up. What happens in terms of that process? Do you decide that the upright's done so well, we'll create a slant now, or was the slant always on the drawing board?
It was always an essential product offer across EMEA. I mean, I just mentioned briefly there some of the casino sizes. We haven't got the luxury of having the huge casino floors that they've got in the States, and we've got some challenges with ceiling heights, with visibility across floors as well. So slant is an essential offer for us in Europe and South Africa as well. I think, to be fair as well, when it was launched in America, there was a huge demand, a huge appetite there as well for slant, which was probably underestimated too. So it's an essential part of our product offer across EMEA, and for the right reasons. It really adds diversity on the floor. Okay,
you mentioned visibility on the floor there, and I just wanted, How instantly recognizable should a cabinet be on the casino floor? Obviously, you've got the game, and that's what players are looking for, and there's an attract mode to that. But how do you design in a walk-up factor that attracts a player, and also signals to the player that this is a Light and Wonder game, and that this is the spot they should be in within the casino?
Yeah, I think as we mentioned previously, there's similarities in the design. The colour of the cabinet, the finish, the lighting package is a massive part of that walk-up factor as well. That lighting package is there for animations and enhancement during the game, but it also really stands out across a casino floor as well. So you've got a familiar, again, I keep using the word family, but it fits for Kascada. You've got the family sort of walk up there as well. From a game perspective, say the harder you work, the luckier you get. But we are really lucky to have some massive iconic brands as part of our portfolio at Light and Wonder. So players will, they'll see the JJBX or the Doofu or the Moneylink topper animations and attracts, and they'll be drawn to that as well. So with the cabinet, the content and the comfort, you've got something there that really brings the player across and draws them to the cabinet and then keeps them coming back for more as well.
Okay. Sticking with kind of player preferences, and it's probably one of those intangible questions that just kind of I throw in just to knock you off your game a bit. Why do certain players migrate, do you think, to slant tops as opposed to uprights? And is there a magical ratio of percentages between uprights and slant tops that make up the perfect casino floor? Even are there demographics and nationalities of players that prefer a slant top?
Yeah, thanks, Lewis. That's the $1 million question. We will be millionaires and we knew the answer to that one. but it is something that we're cognizant of when we're looking at a new cabinet. So the slant is made for all players, but take the EMEA region. It's a perfect example, really, where there are jurisdictions around our area of operation where a dual screen and especially a slant top cabinet is prevalent. So therefore, the players are already familiar. The operators, prefer that style and that layout of product as well. So yeah, it really does. The size of the venue and the height of ceilings, as I mentioned before, really makes a difference as well. So as far as nationalities and as far as segmentation, so yeah, we try and cater to not just the time on device, but the core and the gambler player as well, with our different mix of products and our segmentation across our content. But the slant also sort of lends solitude's the wrong word, but an element of privacy as well that, again, different players around the globe and again, especially within EMEA, really, really like as well, really appreciate.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. One of the things about the floor itself, and one of the things of kind of the talking points, in terms of slot managers and slot floor managers, is that this idea of sightlines and being able to, as you said, the visibility, but also the line across the floor and being able to see across and it not look as though it's a maze of machines. It's how much attention do you pay to that when you're actually designing the cabinet? Because obviously you can't affect all the other machines that are in the floor, but your own. And no two floors are alike. I mean, how much attention do you pay to that, and how much is that part of the kind of pitch to a casino manager as well?
Yeah, I mean, sightlines absolutely it's more essential than ever before. As cabinets get bigger and bigger and sign packages larger and larger and everything's fighting for attention, the ability to influence that flow and that footfall of the player and to create curiosity as they're walking around the floor is becoming harder and harder. So Kascada Slant was absolutely designed with the key word there is slant top, and the visibility is essential. When it's got the topper on, it stands around about 2 meters 20 tall. Okay. That topper is optional and can be removed. And without it, it's got a height of around about 160 centimeters. So if the operator does remove that topper, it is a pure, true slant. And it offers one of the lowest slight lines. It's very slight. One of the lowest sight lines even on the market as well. So yeah, the operator can, with our assistance from our sales teams, we look at the floor, we can make sure we've got visibility to restaurants, to showpieces in the center of the floor, and most importantly to other Light and Wonder banks as well across the gaming space.
Well, you said the kind of word, perfect link word there, banks. That's also been a buzzword. It's always in terms of. I remember at G3 last year we were talking about everything was about banks and how you could actually arrange your slots together. Do you think about that at the design process, or is that something you talk about later on with the casino manager? And if how everything fits together neatly on the floor, how do you actually design that in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Banking is essential. Whether it be the hardware, the content, the way they dovetail together is really important. So we will have typically an overarching theme to a game. So again, I mentioned JJBX or MoneyLink, but we would develop and launch 2 games with that theme initially, for example. Now, if you've got a bank of 3, you've got 2 games. That's great. But a bank of 4, you can salt and pepper those games. And with the footprint of Slant, it's ideally positioned to actually replace 4 machines rather than having to compromise and reduce the number to 3. If you put in 6 instead of 4 or 5, for example, as well. So our bigger family and branded games as well also feature 3rd and 4th games, sometimes even 5th and 6th. Okay. And that's great for us from not only for a bank growth point of view, which keeps the banks fresh and interesting to players, but it's also intrinsically useful for us to be able to introduce new mechanics and game innovations to familiar locations, to familiar themes. Players are already visiting regularly, and then we can evaluate those and almost take the player on that journey. So they're learning about new features, new segmentations, new bonuses, and we're learning what excites them too. So yeah, absolutely intrinsically linked with the banking strategies.
Great. Yeah, great. We're also, you talked about games there, and I was, are the games the same as the upright one? Or do you create separate games for the Slant? Are the crossovers? Are the ones that you're developing? I mean, you have to create different, slightly different software for different, triple screens as opposed to the kind of the sloping curve. What's the kind of design kind of changes that you have to make to move to the Slant? And are the game packages going to be the same? Or are you going to actually create unique games directly for the Slant?
Yeah, no, great question. There are games that will transpose across both portrait cabinets and dual screen as well. Okay. But we believe each form factor should have its own identity and its own purpose. So the game studios, when they set out to create a game, they will actually take the form into account as well. So typically a portrait screen will use that great big real estate to show the customers expanding reels, or to introduce wheels with bonuses on there as well. You've got that sort of almost that lean back, relaxed feel to a portrait. The dual screen and the Slant games, they're developed to specifically take advantage of those, certainly the 2 main screens there in front of the player's eyes, as it were. So a good example of that, I mentioned MoneyLink earlier. It's a huge Light Wonder brand for us. It does really well in portrait. But with Slant, we've introduced a version of that, a game called Double MoneyLink. So the player can spend an extra anti-bet. And ultimately what they'll do then is that there's a hold and spin feature, which instead of just being presented on one reel, it will actually be awarded across both screens in 2 reel arrays. So that player automatically sees that it's double MoneyLink, it's double screens, and I've got twice the bonus action going on as well. It fits perfectly. We've got games like Goldfish Feeding Time, Thunder Drums coming laterally in the year, and they both have, whether it be fish bowls or drums in these cases, that are positioned at eye level on the Slant. You've got the reels, you've got the base game, but the player can immediately and intuitively see, how the game is progressing, how these bowls are persisting and growing, and potentially when they're going to pay out as well.
Right. Okay. Great. Final question. I promise I won't keep you. Keep throwing questions at you. There's been well documented cases of slant top designs that haven't lived up to expectations. I'll say kindly. Mark, in your view, what are the essential components of a successful design, and why is it so difficult to get a slant top right?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a shame it's the final one as well, Lewis. I'm enjoying myself. I can do this all day. I mean, look, first and foremost, it's encapsulated under comfort, but the ergonomics. The team, whether they start with 2 screens, the camera, but ultimately the screen angles on the Slant are perfectly optimized, whether it be for the average male body, the average female body, and trying to encompass everything in between as well. They reduce glare and eye strain with their angles. The reach to the touch screen is perfect. The relaxed position for the buttons again is there too, and that comfort is helped and improved via the ability to put any sled seating configuration underneath the Slant as well, and of course it fits with standalone seats with the eye deck being at the perfect height as well there. Okay. So it's really important for us to ensure the player is comfortable. They're immersed in the gaming experience. They're really experiencing it and being entertained. But on the same same sort of point there, you've got to be able to have that walk up factor as well. So we mentioned before, you've got get the comfort right, get the ergonomics right. bring people over to the machine with the walk-up factor, with the lighting package, with the, with the marquee games at the top there as well. And that, to be fair, is I'm going to say it's the most important thing, because it doesn't matter how comfortable someone is or how you get them to the cabinet, you've got to keep them there. And to keep them there, you need the content. So we've got a proven suite of games available on the Kascada dual screen. We thought long and hard about whether we use exclusives for Slant, whether we bring something through specifically, but actually it became a no-brainer. The Kascada the Kascada dual screen itself is an award-winning cabinet. The content, since launch back certainly in EMEA in April 2022, has been consistently at the top of the charts. You look on Eilers, you look on Real Metrics, and it was developed, to really maximize and leverage these dual gaming screens. We've brought all of those games that are available on the dual screen and made them available from day one on the Kascada Slant. And then over and above that, we're bringing new games through and consistently refreshing that suite. So look out for evolutions of Du Fu Du Chai, Grand, for example. Look out for Hypercharge, which went down really well at ICE, and that's coming through the next couple of months as well. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I did promise that was the final question, but I always lie. Well, you mentioned day one, so I was wondering when is day one? So when and where is the Kascada Slant going to be available?
Okay, so they are prepping at the moment. If your listeners, your viewers there could contact one of our Light Wonder sales executives, they will be able to advise them on delivery times, advise and help them with positioning the games, and of course getting there quick. They're going fast.
Right, brilliant. Mark, that's been terrific. Thank you very much. I look forward to speaking to you again. I know that there will be more launches and things happening throughout the year. G2E is going to be a big one, so hopefully I can talk to you at the show and then maybe tempt you back onto the podcast before the end of the year.
Oh, absolutely. Watch this space for the next big thing, with the next form factor coming towards the back end of the year for us. So yeah, definitely we'll speak again soon, Lewis, and that'll be exciting as well. Good to speak to you.
And you too. Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.